Under the rusted hull of the derelict freighter Spindle Rat, Aiden Wright crouched in a mess of melted conduits, half buried in sparking debris and forgotten time. The dim emergency lights cast a faint glow across the corridor, just enough to show him where not to step. One wrong move in these ghost ships and the whole place could vent into vacuum. He muttered to himself as he worked, screwdriver wedged between his teeth, pulling a sleek crystallized data core from a shattered panel. "Jackpot," he whispered. The core still pulsed faintly with energy. That meant value, and value meant trade. Fuel, maybe a working NAV chip, hell, maybe a meal that didn't taste like compressed sawdust. He slid the core into his satchel and tapped his earpiece. "Tycho, I've got a live one. Tag the location for a clean strip run." No reply. Just static. "Tycho." He glanced toward the corridor, heart thudding. His ship's AI should have responded instantly. Something wasn't right. He rose slowly, senses tingling. A faint hum trembled through the floor, a sound too rhythmic, too alive. Something still functioned on this wreck. Then he saw it. At the corridor's end, framed in the arch of a shattered bulkhead, stood a door untouched by time or decay. Perfectly intact. Its surface shimmered like mercury caught under starlight. He approached, drawn by something beyond curiosity, something gravitational. As he neared, glyphs spiraled to life across the door's surface, reacting to his presence. The crown sigil at the center flared violet. Before he could think, it opened with a silent hiss, revealing a chamber untouched by rot or dust. The walls pulsed with slow, deliberate energy. In the middle floated a small pedestal, and upon it rested an artifact that looked both ancient and impossibly advanced, a circlet of black metal and glass, shaped like a crown, but etched with constellations and shifting light. It pulsed once. He should have walked away. He knew better. Salvagers lived and died by one rule: if something looks that valuable, it's also probably a trap. But his feet moved before his mind caught up. His hand reached out, trembling not from fear, but recognition. The moment his skin brushed the crown, the room flared with blinding light. A surge of data, images, voices, screams, bloodlines, shot through him. He stumbled backward, convulsing, the crown now magnetized to his palm. It pulsed again, this time with purpose. Royal blood detected. A synthetic voice, clear and old as time, filled the chamber. Lineage match, 1.002%. Initiating bond. Aiden collapsed. He awoke gasping aboard the Tycho drifter, his patched-together hauler barely holding pressure. The AI system flickered above his bunk. "You're alive," Tycho said, voice more annoyed than concerned. "And possibly radioactive." "What happened?" Aiden coughed, head throbbing. "You vanished from comms. Internal sensors logged an energy pulse strong enough to reboot me twice. You've got something on your wrist." He looked down. The crown was gone, at least physically. But in its place, wrapped tight like ink beneath his skin, was a band of shimmering light, part tattoo, part circuit. "What the hell did I touch?" he whispered. Tycho's holoscreen flashed. "You've been flagged. 68 bounty networks pinged this ship. Someone wants you dead." A lot of someones. Aiden scrambled to the pilot's seat, fingers flying across the controls. Who doesn't want you dead might be a shorter list. Pulling identity traces now. Here's one. A massive hologram bloomed before him. A woman with skin the color of obsidian glass, eyes of pure white, and armor shaped like bone and metal. Her name read, High Lady Virexa of House Seraph. Her bounty order was labeled, Royal Pretender. Kill on sight. "I didn't pretend anything," he shouted. "I didn't even ask for this." Tycho word. "You touched a crown that's been missing for 8 centuries. And it liked you." "Fantastic," Aiden muttered. "I get cursed by space royalty, and now a death cult's after me." He slammed the thrusters, firing the Tycho drifter into a blind jump, coordinates random. He had no plan. No allies. Just a whisper in his head and a crown's ghost curled around his blood. On the other side of the galaxy, cloaked in deep orbit around a crumbling moon, a ship shaped like a falling star tracked his jump. Inside stood a woman with hair like moonlight and eyes glowing violet. Her ears, pointed and adorned with silver, twitched at the crown's faint resonance. "He's awake," she said to the silent crew. No one responded. They didn't need to. She turned toward the stars. "Set course. I need to reach him before they do." Aiden didn't know her name. Didn't know why she had been watching him since the moment he touched that cursed artifact. But as he stared into the empty stars of his jump corridor, he felt something new crawling beneath his skin. Not fear. Connection. It pulled him toward a future he had never imagined, where his blood was more than human, and the universe was suddenly very interested in what flowed inside his veins. He didn't want to be a part of any empire. He didn't want to wear a crown, cursed or not. But now, it seemed, he didn't have a choice. And someone, somewhere, had just decided to make him bleed for it. The outlaw station known as the Shard drifted like a jagged splinter in the vacuum of a dead sector. Nothing here followed galactic code. No patrols. No laws. Just scavengers, mercenaries, and exiles orbiting a dying star. Aiden Reich stood in the docking bay, still trying to understand how his life had unraveled in less than a week. A low hum pulsed under his skin, the crown, invisible but ever-present, threaded into his veins like cosmic static. Every time he breathed too deep, it responded. "You don't look like a royal," said the tall figure beside him, her voice even, calm and laced with something unreadable. Aiden turned. Zyria stood cloaked in silvery armor that shimmered faintly with the motion of galaxies across its surface. Her long white hair flowed down her back, and her violet eyes tracked everything with the precision of a blade about to strike. "Good," Aiden muttered. "I don't want to." "You don't get to choose," she replied. "The crown chose you." He gave a bitter laugh, scanning the hangar's perimeter. "It picked me because I'm 1% something ancient. That's not destiny. That's a genetic hiccup. It's not just blood. It's potential," she said. "And right now, it's our only chance." They passed through the station's inner ring, moving among markets selling illegal tech, bio-augments, and exotic weaponry. Everyone moved with a wariness born of survival. Zyria didn't flinch. She walked like someone who had faced worse than this. Aiden couldn't decide if he feared her or trusted her. Maybe both. Inside a dim chamber of rusted metal and crystalline displays, a figure hunched over a broken memory core. The archivist. Wrapped in translucent robes that shifted colors as it moved, it was neither fully mechanical nor organic. Its voice was a whisper threaded with static. "You bring the blood. And the burden." Zyria stepped forward. "We need access to the vaults." "Access comes with consequence," the archivist replied. "The crown binds him, but does he even know what that means?" Aiden stepped forward. "I know it's made me a target. I know people want me dead. Beyond that? I'm guessing." The archivist reached out a segmented hand and placed it on Aiden's forehead. For a moment, Aiden couldn't breathe. Visions surged through him, an empire of light, crumbling under shadow. A woman on a throne made of starlight. Blood on marble floors. Screams in languages he didn't understand. Then the image of Zyria, younger, defiant, standing beside that throne. When he gasped and stumbled back, the archivist was silent. "You saw it," Zyria said softly. "Was that real?" he asked. "It was memory," she replied. "Yours now, whether you want it or not." Aiden leaned against the console, heart racing. "Why me?" "Because the crown only scans for one thing," Zyria said. "Resonance. Your bloodline touches both ends of the spiral, human and Varellan. That makes you the bridge. The prophecy spoke of such a one." He shook his head. "I don't believe in prophecies." "Neither do I," she admitted. "But the people who want to kill you? They do. And they've already moved to silence the chance that you might matter." Tycho's voice crackled through Aiden's calm, Incoming vessel, flagged hostile. 2 minutes to contact. Aiden turned to Zyria. They followed us. No, she said, drawing a blade that vibrated with faint energy. They were waiting. The station descended into chaos as the mercenary ship deployed troop. Aiden and Zyria moved through fire and metal, cutting a path toward the hangar. For all her grace, Zyria fought like a tempest, precise, unrelenting, elegant. Aiden kept low, using his pistol more like punctuation than offense, but the crown inside him flared with each threat, giving him seconds of clarity, anticipation. It wasn't instinct. It was something more refined, like memory that hadn't belonged to him until now. By the time they reached the ship, Tycho had prepped for emergency launch. Zyria slammed the hatch closed as plasma fire licked the walls. They know who you are. That changes everything. In a good way? Aiden asked, strapping in. In the kind of way that makes people start wars, she said, her voice flat. Back in orbit, silent and adrift, the Tycho drifter limped toward neutral space. Aiden sat in the cockpit, bruised and exhausted, staring at the nebula curling outside the viewport. Zyria stood beside him, arms folded. You fought well, she said. I didn't fight, he replied. I reacted. Mostly by running. That's still better than most, she said. You're not trained. But you're not useless. Thanks, he muttered. That was glowing praise. Zyria's tone shifted, quiet but insistent. You need to understand something. This isn't about you being a symbol. It's about balance. The crown doesn't serve rulers. It serves harmony. And you are chaos right now. He looked at her. So what? You fix me. I prepare you, she said. Because whether you accept it or not, you are now part of something ancient and unfinished. In the days that followed, she trained him. At first, it felt ridiculous. Aiden flailing with swords, struggling to grasp Varellan dialects, trying to center his mind for psionic flow. But under her instruction, the crown began to respond more clearly. He learned to feel intentions before they formed, to slow his pulse when fear spiked, to glimpse just far enough ahead to choose his path wisely. At night, when the ship powered down and only starlight filtered through the canopy, they spoke. You were there, he said once quietly. In the vision. By the Empress's side. Zyria didn't answer for a long time. Then, I was her oathkeeper. Her blade. I watched the Empire fall from within while I failed to save her. You don't look that old, he said carefully. Her smile was sad. Time doesn't touch those bound to the crown. He paused. So, you're waiting for redemption? No, she said. I'm waiting for a reason to stop carrying the past like a curse. Aiden didn't respond. Because he felt it too. That heavy weight of fate dropped in his lap like a war he never volunteered for. Tycho interrupted the silence. Long-range ping. Beacon from a Varellan archive buried on the exomoon of Roncor. Possible memory vaults. Might give context. Zyria's eyes lit with purpose. Set course. The moon was desolate, scarred by ancient bombardments and tectonic scars. Deep beneath its crust, a chamber opened for them. Within, holograms sparked to life, royal records, genetic logs, echoes of a long-dead court. Then, they found it. A sealed message, encoded to respond only to someone with verified royal blood. Aiden stepped forward. The crown burned beneath his skin. The chamber unlocked. Inside, an image formed. A woman, young, powerful, regal. The last empress. She stared out across centuries. If you see this, then the blood has not been lost. You are more than legacy. You are the pivot. Do not rebuild what we destroyed. Forge what we never could. The message ended. Zyria stood silent. She was your sister, Aiden guessed. Zyria nodded slowly. She was everything, she whispered. As they returned to the ship, Aiden stopped beside the loading ramp. This is real. All of it. Zyria turned to face him. Yes. He stared at the stars. Then I need to stop running. For the first time, she smiled without sadness. Good. In that moment, something shifted. Not destiny. Not prophecy. But choice. The fortress loomed in orbit over the storm-choked planet, a monolith of forgotten grandeur and broken memory. Caelestis had once been a Varellan command citadel, its spires a crown in the void, its cannons a declaration of sovereignty. Now, its outer rings flickered with emergency lights and fractured shielding. Time had gnawed at it, but it hadn't fallen. Like the empire it once served, it lingered in defiance. Aiden Reich stood at the Tycho Drifter's viewport, his reflection split by the lines of starlight and battle scars across the hull. In his chest, the crown hummed steadily, a pulse that no longer fought him. It spoke in thoughts, not words, possibilities, probabilities, the subtle arc of conflict and decision. He was learning to listen. Behind him, Zyria adjusted the vambrace of her armor, eyes locked on the fortress. They still hold the core, she said. If we take it, we fracture Saratha's communication web. They lose the outer rim. Aiden nodded. And this place? You trained here. I commanded from here, she replied. Before everything burned. Tycho cut in over comms. Incoming. 3 Sarath cruisers on intercept vector. 5 minutes. Zyria gave Aiden a sidelong glance. You ready to fight for a legacy? No, he said plainly. But I'll fight for a future. She almost smiled. Almost. As the Tycho Drifter dived toward the fortress under covering fire from 2 allied corvettes, Aiden moved through the ship with the calm of someone who'd stopped asking to wake up from all this. He checked the pulse rifles, calibrated the magnetic boots, then paused at the mirror. His reflection wasn't a scavenger anymore. His eyes carried the stillness of someone who had seen death and chosen not to run. Not this time. They breached the outer shell of Caelestis under cover of flak and chaos. Zyria led the advance, her blade a streak of violet light slicing through Sarath defenders. Aiden flanked her, covering their push with precise bursts. The crown didn't give him superhuman speed, it gave him understanding. Where enemies would move, where ricochets would land. How his heartbeat synchronized with a dying empire's memory. The inner chamber of the fortress resisted their entrance. Energy seals pulsed in strange, archaic rhythms. Aiden placed his hand to the door. The circuits beneath his skin sparked, interfacing. The crown recognized its birthplace. The seal opened. Inside, a council chamber hung suspended in a zero-G cradle. Chairs long empty drifted in circular patterns. At the center floated a crystalline throne, fractured but intact. And sitting on it was a figure Aiden hadn't expected. He looked like a man sculpted from the bones of royalty and the wires of machines. Perfect posture, gleaming eyes, a crown forged in imitation of the one that lived inside Aiden. His voice was velvet and venom. You are the echo, he said. I am the continuation. Zyria froze. Valeth. The synthetic heir to the Sarath agenda. Grown in silence, educated by 1,000 years of imperial memory, and engineered to be the perfect successor, if not in blood, then in function. You stole a dead empire's memory, Aiden said. Valeth rose from the throne. I am the empire's memory. You are a footnote, a flaw. I'm 1%, Aiden said, stepping forward. But that's still real. You? You're a construct. I am precision. You are accident. Zyria's grip tightened on her blade, but Aiden raised a hand. The moment had crystallized. This wasn't about armies. It was about symbols. The throne would answer only to one. And the Empire, even dead, demanded proof. Trial by legacy, Valeth said, gesturing toward the chamber's center. One duel. One bloodline. The victor inherits the silence. Aiden stepped into the cradle. The room sealed itself. Blades hissed to life. They clashed. Valeth moved with exacting grace, every strike calculated. Aiden fought with instinct guided by ancient memory. Sparks danced. Metal screamed. Every blow exchanged was a battle of ideology. Valeth was what the Empire thought it wanted, Perfect order, absolute continuity. Aiden was what it never expected, a hybrid of chaos and possibility. He faltered once, a shallow wound scoring his side. The crown flared in protest, sharpening his focus. Valeth smirked, pressing his advantage. "You are deluded," he said. Aiden parried barely. "I'm adaptive." He switched tactics, channeling not just skill but unpredictability. Feints, stutter steps, emotion. Valeth hesitated. That was the key. He couldn't process emotion fast enough. Couldn't predict irrationality. Aiden drove his blade through the synthetic heir's shoulder and activated the psionic surge the crown had been building. Valeth screamed, not in pain but in confusion. Then he collapsed, systems overloaded. His final words: "This was not calculated." The chamber recognized the victor. Aiden stood alone in silence. Zyria entered, breathless, eyes wide. "It's done." He nodded. "He fought like the Empire wanted. I fought like it needed." They returned to the surface level of the fortress. Loyalists from old families had already begun sending messages of acknowledgement. The echo of Aiden's victory was rippling. Tycho hailed them. Multiple systems lighting up. House Sereth has gone dark. Their fleets are withdrawing. Looks like they just lost their spine. Aiden slumped into a chair. "Good. I'm tired of being hunted." Zyria knelt before him, not out of submission but out of history. "You are heir now." He met her eyes. "No. I'm something else." He rose, turning away from the throne. "The Empire is dead. Let it stay that way." Zyria stood beside him. "Then what are you?" He looked out the viewport, watching the stars blink back into peace. "A warden. A bridge. Someone who remembers, but doesn't repeat." She reached for his hand. Their fingers touched, not as symbols, not as relics of forgotten dynasties, but as people who had survived and chosen each other. "Where now?" she asked. "Forward," he said. The crown pulsed once beneath his skin. Not in command. In agreement. And somewhere beyond the veil of known space, others began to feel that pulse. Because 1% was enough. And the galaxy was listening.